Hello! Today we are making no-boil rhubarb wine. It is definitely rhubarb season up here in Orkney. Yesterday I had 17.5 kilos of rhubarb land on my doorstep from a very kind and generous neighbour. So what I'm doing is making no-boil rhubarb wine, 10 gallons of the stuff. 10 gallons is a huge amount of rhubarb wine to make, but it's not just for me, it's for neighbours, it's for, well, gifts, presents. It's wonderful stuff. I really, really rate it. As I said, I'm not going to be boiling the rhubarb because there's so much of it, I don't have a pot big enough. I put it to a public vote what I should do with all this rhubarb. A lot of you said rhubarb wine, a lot of you said rhubarb beer, and quite a few of you said a rhubarb rumble, a rhubarb crumble. So I will be doing all those things with this rhubarb and the stuff that's grown in our garden and any other rhubarb that comes my way. So it's rhubarb beer, rhubarb crumble, and also this wine. Fantastic. I love rhubarb. I normally advocate freezing your rhubarb before you make wine or crumbles from it. I would do normally, however, I don't have enough room in the freezers for this much rhubarb. The freezers are full of, well, rhubarb. I will include the recipe for a 1 gallon no-boil rhubarb wine, as well as the 10 gallon no-boil rhubarb wine, down in the description below. So for this recipe, first thing you need to do is chop up your rhubarb. With this much rhubarb, it's going to be slow going, but just chop it up into nice little chunks. You want to throw your chopped rhubarb into a clean, sterilised fermentation bucket. Same principle whether you're doing a 5 gallon batch, 1 gallon batch or 10 gallons. Vary the size of bucket according to how much rhubarb you're using. I'm using a big bucket because I'm making a lot. So simply throw in the rhubarb. Well now, once you've thrown all of your rhubarb into your big buckets, time to add the sugar. Because I'm making a 10 gallon batch, I'm using a whole heap of sugar. But if you want to make the 1 gallon batch, or 5 gallon, the recipe is down below in the link and follow it from there. Just reduce everything by the appropriate amount. So I'm using 12 kilos of sugar. 11 of those kilos are plain granulated white sugar. The 12th kilo is dark brown soft sugar. Partly because there wasn't much sugar in the shop and I didn't want to take all of the granulated, and also because the soft brown sugar adds a really nutty, rich, dense flavour to the rhubarb. It really brings out something special about it. So what you want to do is simply pour in all of your sugar on top of your chopped rhubarb in the bucket and add your brown sugar. Fantastic. Then final thing you want to add at this stage is 1 orange. The juice, and then throw the whole lemon, whole orange in the bucket as well. The orange will provide the citric acid that will help extract all of the tasty flavour from the rhubarb. Fantastic. And also add as a preservative later on when it's in the bottle. So slice your orange. Then to squeeze in your orange. Good squeeze, get it all in, all that lovely juice. You can really smell the citrusiness working with the brown sugar. Smells so divine. Throw it in. And the other half. Next up, you want to grab your spoon and give it a really good stir. Get all that sugar mixed in with the rhubarb, with that orange juice. Just get it all stirred in, mixed in, until it's nice even mix. Fantastic. So stir away. It might take you a while if you're doing a 10 gallon brew. If you're doing a 1 gallon brew, give it a good shake. Oh yes. So spoon, stir. With your sugar mixed into your rhubarb, and the graininess and the granularness of the rhubarb all mixed in. What you want to do then is simply shove a lid on top of your buckets with an airlock in so nothing can get in, and leave it for 3 days. I like to stir mine every day, get it all mixed up. It's not essential though, you don't need to stir it. I just like to be hands-on with it. After 3 days, the sugar, the grain of it and the acidity of the orange would have extracted a load and load of the wonderful rhubarb juice. And then, well, I'll show it to you in 3 days' time. So I'll leave this here now, and I'll come back to you in 3 days. Well, hello now. 3 days have passed and the wine is looking fantastic. The sugar and the citric acid from that orange are helping to remove all the juice from the rhubarb. There's loads of juice forming, it's smelling brilliant, it's looking divine it is. So now we need to move on and get that rhubarb strained out of the bucket and the liquid put into another fermenting bucket, which is fantastic, great fun. So come on then, let's get this done. So all I'm doing now is grabbing a colander, scooping out as much of the rhubarb as I can, putting it aside into a separate saucepan. I'll be using that later on. I have now separated all that rhubarb from the liquid. There is about 15 litres worth of juice that has come out of the sugar and that one orange and all that 17.5 kilos of rhubarb. So about £1 per litre of juice. That's awesome going. So what I'm going to do now, grab my hydrometer, just see what the level is of that juice and then try and make it up to near enough 20 gallons. That's my aim. I'm going to try 18 litres first and then take another reading, just try and get the bearing right on it. Awesome. Bear with me, work in progress, not tried this recipe before. So final reading for 10 gallons should give a wine at about 10.5, 11% or so. I was hoping for something slightly stronger, however, I am going to be adding sugar, back feeding the wine as I go along, so it may well hit 12%, which is ideal for me. So now with the water added up to your desired amount, whether you're making a 1 gallon batch, a 5 gallon batch, or go the whole hog and do a 10 gallon batch, as I've done here, it's well worth making more. You will drink it, you will find a way of disposing of it, whether that's friends, family, neighbours, work colleagues, or lay some aside for the forthcoming year. To appreciate it. Now it's time to add the yeast. Because I'm doing a 10 gallon batch, I'm using 2 sachets of my favourite yeast types. I'm using a rhubarb yeast and also a high alcohol yeast because I think this can really carry the flavour of the increased alcohol strength. And the rhubarb yeast just brings that wonderful flavour to the rhubarb. Oh yes. So I'm going to shove those out. That oven's hot. So I'm going to prepare these now using some of the must and let it do its thing. Yes. So that's going to start fermenting away. I'm going to add a bit of sugar to it every few days just to give that yeast an extra powerful, renewed vigour. I like back feeding the wine bits of sugar. It just really helps the yeast do its job and maximise the yeast potential. Anyway, so put a lid on it with an airlock, set it aside somewhere nice and warm, and in a few weeks time it would have done its job and fermented right the way out. Either them back to sweeten if you like. I'll be doing a video about back to sweetening really soon. And then you can either put it into demijohns times your 1, your 5, your 10, however many you make, or bottle it direct from the bucket. It depends on how quickly you want to drink it. If you want a quick drink ready for the end of summer, bottle straight from the bucket. That's fine to do. No worries. There's no issues, you don't have to put in demijohns. I like using glass demijohns to lay it down for a while. It just seems to add a different dimension, helps it clear, helps it settle down and helps it become more wine-like. And in my demijohns, I do like to use cork bunglers. I'm a bit of a traditionalist. I like the cork far better than I do rubber bunglers. Personally, let me know, what do you prefer? Do you like rubber or cork? Tell me what you think. Anyway, put the lid on it now, wrap this up here, and I'll come back and do a taste test or a bottling session with this rhubarb wine sometime soon. Why don't you check out the recipe where I boil the rhubarb and then see the differences between the two styles. So the recipe is up here in that video. I will see you really soon. Have fun now. Bye bye.